The complex financial transactions involved. Compromise on the 12th. Newton Butler, the latest venue to reach an accommodation. Hardline Orange men and politicians angered at the move. They threaten political repercussions. Charles Haughey intervened with the Revenue Commissioners on behalf of Ben Dunn. And a resounding yes in favour of a merger between Avonmore and Waterford Foods. Good evening and welcome. Further attempts to defuse the crisis over tomorrow's parades were made today, with agreement being reached between members of the Orange Order and residents of Newton Butler and County Fermanagh. This follows last night's decision to cancel the Ormeau Road Parade in Belfast and to move the Derry Parade to Limavady. The initiative has been widely welcomed, although there have been reports of recrimination among some unionists. Although the risk of violence in Belfast, Derry, Newton Butler, Armagh and Newry appears now to have been averted, nationalists are still planning to demonstrate against Orange parades in Dunloy and County Antrim, perhaps the most significant remaining flashpoint. Other locations where there has been no agreement between marchers and residents are Balahy in County Derry and Pomeroy in County Tyrone.
After a decision by Orangemen to change arrangements for 4 parades in controversial areas, there was a further breakthrough this afternoon in Newton Butler. Nationalists, helped by the Parades Commission, reached agreement with local Orangemen for a march in the County Fermanagh village tomorrow morning. Residents had protested against a parade there last weekend. But after the Orange Order's decisions on the Ormeau Road, Newry, Armagh and Derry, they've agreed not to hold a street demonstration.
It was a major step by the Orange Order. But it must also be taken into consideration that the residents groups in them 4 areas who were facing Orange marches, they worked tirelessly as well to get this deal together. From their efforts, they maybe forced the Orangemen to come to this offer that they gave last night.
Nationalist residents in some other areas are still planning to protest, despite a call from a senior Orangeman to respond to their gesture.
I also hope that we're not going to see from residents groups and others triumphalism about these decisions, because if they engage in such triumphalism, then I think that they will be judged in a very poor light by the people of Northern Ireland.
There are some rank-and-file members of the Orange Order who are unhappy with the decision, however, and regard it as a betrayal.
What will happen now, that ordinary Orangemen throughout the country will be completely demoralised at this decision, and the risk of a split within the Orange Order is much greater now.
Another sign of the internal strain it has caused within Orangism came when the Belfast Grand Lodge, regretting the withdrawal of the Ormeau Road Parade, urged unionists to unite and pull out of the Stormont talks. DUP leader Ian Paisley backed the call. David Trimble of the Ulster Unionists said he would give it serious thought and will meet the group on Tuesday.
In Derry, a leading unionist has said Orangemen disappointed by the Order's decision should channel their anger privately through their local lodges. Derry is calm tonight following the decision to switch its main parade to Limavady.
Derry is back from the brink today. What police had described as a potentially grave crisis today and tomorrow has been narrowly avoided. The local Orange Order said they took the decision not to march in the city centre to ensure the safety of their members.
We were having a large hostile crowd in the city tonight. In fact, we do feel that there could have been a real element of danger from either that crowd or within that crowd.
In response, the Bogside Residents Group has cancelled its planned activities for this evening, but has called for other controversial parades to be rerouted. The SDLP leader John Hume has described the Orange Order's pullback as statesmanlike and has outlined what should happen now.
Should lead as soon as possible to a total end to the RTE campaign and to an absolute renewal of their ceasefire, so that we can then, in that totally peaceful atmosphere, all get round the table to deal with the underlying problem that gives rise to all these other symptoms.
But despite the relief, there is some anger among Orangemen and unionists, some of whom believe that the decision to switch the main parade away from Derry was the wrong one.
There's a lot of very strong reaction out there from individual Orangemen and certainly from Protestants generally. But what I'm saying to individual Orangemen, I think they've got to channel that frustration through private lodges. I think it'd be totally and absolutely wrong to bring that anger onto the streets.
There's little doubt that Derry is breathing a sigh of relief today, but how long can it last? The Bogside residents group say the next step should be to enter into talks on future parades here, but the apprentice boys already preparing for their August parade say they've no plans to talk with them.
And despite that overnight agreement, nationalists at a number of smaller venues are still insisting that they will stage protests tomorrow. At one of the most contentious venues, Dunloy, a resident spokesman said that even at this late stage, tomorrow's parade could go ahead if the local lodge entered into talks.
As many of the larger towns and cities in the north breathe a sigh of relief, the focus is now moving to smaller disputed parades, where marches are due to be held by Orangemen leaving for county gatherings. The Order has appealed to nationalists to respond positively to its latest move. That is, lift planned protests and allow the parades to go ahead. But in some areas that seems unlikely. In Balahi and County Derry, the residents' groups are set to block 2 marches planned for tomorrow. Last August there was an overnight standoff and a number of parades have been blocked since. The residents say they will continue to block parades until the Orange Order talks to them.
We are the people that be brought in charge to facilitate these people. We are the people that ends up in hospital with injuries. The Orange Order walks through. When their parade is over, they get into the cars, they go away to their respective places, and we're left here to pick up the bits and pieces. So we feel it's the Orange Order. The onus is on them to show us a gesture of goodwill.
Here in the mainly nationalist village of Dunloy in North County Antrim, Orange men and other loyal orders have been prevented from marching through the village for the past 2 years. Locals say tomorrow will be no different. They plan to hold 2 protests, one in the morning and one in the evening.
The British Prime Minister Tony Blair has thanked the Taoiseach for his positive reaction to the Orange Order decision. The Taoiseach described that decision as a very positive gesture by the Orange Order. The Taoiseach and Minister for Enterprise and Employment, Mary Harney, said the decision would come as a huge relief to the people of Northern Ireland.
Need and an IRA ceasefire at this stage. There's no justification, moral, political or any other, for a continuation of the bombings and shootings, and we want to see an IRA ceasefire. I want to see Sinn Féin at the talks.
Fine Gael leader John Bruton said the Irish government must now react positively.
I think the Irish government has got to show that it recognises that this was a very important decision by the Orange and Unionist people, that it recognises their right to be British, and that it intends to ensure that any structures that are put in place in a settlement recognise their right to be British.
In Washington, the US government and leading politicians have welcomed the news that the contentious Orange parades won't go ahead. The State Department spokesman Nick Burns said he hoped the decision would help to build confidence between the 2 communities in the north.
In recent days, American politicians had been loudly critical of the actions of the Orange Order and the British government. Today they came together on Capitol Hill to express their relief and give credit where they believe credit is due.
Well, it's always, I guess, dangerous to be euphoric about events in Ireland. I think it's safe to say that this is, right now, looks to be a truly historic moment. This is a courageous decision by the Orange Order, and we have to commend them for it. We should also commend Mo Mowlam and the British government for keeping the pressure on and not giving up.
The American government also gave a warm welcome to the decision not to push ahead with the contentious Orange parades.
After the disturbing events of the past week, we hope this decision will help diffuse tensions in Northern Ireland and build confidence between the 2 communities there.
And the members of Congress said that it was now time for others to make their own gestures of goodwill.
I would say that it gives the IRA an opportunity to escalate the high ground or reach a higher ground, even follow the signal set by the Orange Order. I think it would invite some kind of positive response, and this might be a very good time to do that.
There was an audible sigh of relief here on Capitol Hill with news of the Orange Order decision, but there's also some caution. These American politicians want the British government to implement confidence-building measures, including a ban on the use of plastic bullets, and they want the IRA to make the ultimate gesture and renew their ceasefire.
The Dunn's payments